Seems
Oh,
like wherever I
Duolingo
go,
is
it's always
starting
the
to
same.
beat me for not
Folks
practicing
just
my
never
French.
leave each other alone.
Dude,
I'm
I
not
already
much good in
practiced my
fighting
French
like
today.
one
Get off my
leg,
back.
and my supplies are scarce, but I'll give you what I can spare.
Cease this tomfoolery.
You take care now.
You know what? Why don't we do it? Why don't we do a impromptu French lesson on air? Can't listen right now. Give me a non-audio thing. How do you think you say we are going to the hotel in French?
Is that directed at me?
Yeah, I mean that's directed towards the ether, right?
You're asking the wrong guy.
Nous allons à la hotel. That's okay. Excuse my pronunciation there.
Pardon my French.
Pardon my French. Nous allons à l'hôtel. Qu'est-ce que tu fais? Yeah, that's a... I'm liking this. I'm liking this interactive chat. How do you say, are you going to school in French? Actually, a couple of these could be okay. Est-ce que vous allez à l'université? Tu vas aller au... No, no. Sans tu... No, I don't think that's it. We're gonna go for this one. Yep, okay. It was tu vas à l'école. 7 years of high school French? How did you take 7 years of high school French? Dude, that sounds like an adventure and a half. Oh man, that's crazy. I had a similar situation in high school with Italian. Chat says, did 7 years of high school French mainly because they kept repeating years and then got a D. Also missed the school trip to France because he didn't have a passport. Dude, that sucks.
That's kind of fucked up.
That sucks big time. I had some minor experience with
So you're planning on taking on
with
Joe
2
Cobb's
years
gang.
of high
It's a big
school
risk,
Italian.
but I suppose you have to do
that
what you think is right.
did not. I took 1 year of Spanish and 2 years of Italian, and those credits did not transfer when I got to college. So by the time I got to college, they were like, "Hey, why don't you pay us $700 to take 2 more foreign language classes?" And I was like, "Well, I'm sure as shit not gonna take another Italian class because that would be boring." Has a cool story. Cool
Feeling
story.
thirsty?
Didn't want to pay for a birth certificate, so to this day, you don't know when you were really born. I think that's rad. That
I was
is the
planning on
beginning of a
sitting this
novel
one out,
right there.
But for some reason, I can't help but like you.
I
I'm with
actually
ya.
have
Let me have a word with a few other folks, and I'll
I
see if
have
I can't
a
round up some more
relatively
members for this
similar
militia you're
story to
creating.
that.
While
Well,
everyone does own
not
a
so
gun,
much as
we
cool
could stand to be
as
a little
much as
better
like, yo,
equipped.
this sucks.
The general store
When
probably
I
has
was
what we
first
need
trying
in
to get
stock.
my learner's permit, I had
careful out
to
there.
provide some documentation as to my birth certificate. And the reason for that was because, and this fucking sucks, and Bix, I've told you this story before. Cody, I may have told you this story, but for anybody who's not aware, there was a time when the DMV would not accept my my stuff that I was sending in because they said that I wasn't who I said I was. And I was like, okay, that seems weird. Why is that? And they said, well, your name is not on file for your birth certificate. And so what we ended up having to do was physically go back to Wisconsin, to like the small podunk nowhere town that I was born in, to the hospital where I was brought in, and find like whatever record that they had kept from back when, right?
Right.
And what we had found was that my name on file when I was born was misspelled. Instead of Alexander, they wrote Alanander.
What?
with 2 N's. And because of that weird ass crossed wire that nobody stopped to look at a birth certificate and say, hey, did you maybe mean to write Alexander? Fucking, it was awful. I eventually had to go back and get that and like, hey, this is what I have on file. And they're like, yeah, sure enough, this is what we have too.
Hey there. You looking
Long
to buy
story
some
short, I
supplies?
eventually got that driver's license. I know! One misspelling.
Now just
You had to
hold
go to a
on.
meeting
I
to
never voted
verify who
take
you
on the
were
powder
with questions.
gangers.
It's
That's a
awkward because
1,000
the
cap
picture the
investment
government
you're
had of
talking
me
about.
was 20 years old. Yeah, I believe it. You
Right.
know, at some point I had to stop dyeing my hair so many different colors too, because like, depending on what ID I was showing people, I was either super blonde or like jet black or natural redhead or whatever.
You looking to buy
Stuff like
some
that can totally suck.
This again? You
We
made
have
your point.
Abiento
I
for
can
see you
provide
soon.
people with some leather armor and extra
We have
ammo.
Cheval
Sure hope
for
it's worth
horse, Bank
And
for
I'll
bank,
be guarding the store
and
while
A
all
for
this is
two.
going on. I have to put my business first. You understand.
Je vais à la banque en voiture. Let's see. That's I'm going to the bank by car. Yeah? Going to the bank by car? Yes. Correct. We're 4 in a row, baby. Yeah, Duolingo is pretty great, only if you use what you learn. Yeah, straight up. So this is an ongoing arc of ours, but my friend Cody here, we were planning on taking a trip to Canada to go see Woodkid live, and it looks like that may or may not happen because of reasons. But also at the moment I am trying to eventually get a work visa so that I can move up to and work and live in hopefully Montreal.
I'm fucking jealous. Legit.
Do you really need French to go to Quebec? No, you don't. But to work and live there, if you were to work and live in Canada, French would eventually be the thing that you would have to learn. It is... It's literally like 50-50 in a lot of places. It's less so... Like when in America, in particular, Spanish is very prevalent, right? Especially if you live in an area like Vix or myself do, and you are typically like 80% is going to just be English, and maybe a good 20 is going to be maybe a good 20 is going to be Spanish, but that's still like a pretty significant amount of Spanish that you'll run into. In Quebec, especially Quebec, you're gonna be running into more of like a 50-50 split. You could totally get away with not knowing how to speak French, but when it comes to, I would feel that when it comes to working in another country, especially one that is definitely more evenly divided like that, it would be better for me to know than to not know. You know what I mean?
It would be in your interests easily.
Because like the situation is going to come up where you are at a supermarket or like trying to find directions to a bus terminal or something, and I can just imagine that some of that is sure as shit not going to be in English, and it's only going to be in French. And I don't want to put myself in that situation, but also I don't want to be. And I say this right now, this is probably coming off as ignorant because I generally don't know what I'm talking about when I open my mouth. But I don't want to be in a situation in which my ignorance or arrogance makes things difficult. You know, especially in going over state lines and even in a culture that is so heavily intertwined with our own, and so
some of the fine
part of
folks
it,
in town might be able to help
I still feel like the onus is on you to at least try to learn the conversational language of wherever it is that you're going, right? That just seems to me like I would feel bad for anybody who had to talk to me and they didn't speak English. And I would just come off like a total asshole, I imagine. And I don't want that to be the case. But also, you know, a lot of this comes from working in working in like service positions and you know, definitely having to communicate with people through like a third party at like a theme park or setting up events at the theater and being like, I don't know how to speak your language. Please hold on while I get somebody from the office that maybe does. I always feel shitty in that scenario because like I want to talk to as many people as possible. If I could, I would try to learn every language on Earth, but I'm not smart enough to do that. I can't do that.
By the time you manage something like that, you would only have a few years left to use them. It would be tragic.
And it's like, if I'm going to learn a language that is... I think it's also important to learn a language that is not your own. Just, it's one of those things I think does build some character and build some worldliness. I feel like if I'm going to try and make an effort to live and work in Canada, that French would be maybe not a necessity, but I see it being something that definitely comes in handy. Like, yeah, when we got those tickets to go see him, the site itself was in French, and if I had not known what BA meant by the time that I ordered my tickets, I would have been in trouble. Because Google Translate doesn't really work that well. But yo, Duolingo is awesome. It does not serve as like a replacement for a typical it does not serve as a replacement for like an actual course or 2 or 3 or 4 taken in a foreign language, but the fact that it's free and the fact that it is largely user friendly and encourages you to do it every day, to me that is that's super awesome. And like they run ads and they're very upfront as to like, we run ads because we want education to be free and we want this service to be usable by everybody. I totally think that is, I think it's awesome. I think it's very important to do stuff like that. Fake Frenchies, they can fight me. Oh no. No Frenchman has D's that hard. Oh, I would, boy, those are some words.
There they are. For everyone
those
to
are
see.
Some words. Yep. I love our chat. Our chat's a good chat. Also, Cody, headbutt only run for Fallout New Vegas. You could make that work. I bet you could totally get like a...
Is there a headbutt move that you can get?
I don't know.
I'm aware of the Legion Assault, but that's not a headbutt, I think.
What if you got like t-shirt and jeans and like an Enclave power armor helmet?
Yeah.
And that was how you decided to do your headbutt only run.
That would be a good run.
Hi in chat says, I wish I was learning for a purpose. I'm just bored. Like I was learning Swedish to freak out IKEA staff.
That's
Don't let
good.
anybody tells you that's not a purpose. That is a purpose. That's a really good purpose. I like that. And Cody, yeah. What is it? Bead? Is it Bade? Is it Bidet? I think it's Bead.
What if it's Bayday?
It might be Bayday.
You don't know.
Bayday, Seto Kaiba incoming. I'm really happy that Bead just turned out to be Seto Kaiba. Learn French and never find out. That's right. That's right, Cody. Translate this sentence. We are going to the bank. Nous allons No, avec is have. À la banque? Yes. Apparently there are 289,000 other people learning French with me right now.
Cool.
The world is radical. Nous sommes anglais. We
Give me
are
a shout
English.
if you need anything else. Take it easy now.
I apologize profusely for my French pronunciation. And for my English pronunciation, apparently.
Good news. I bought a shovel. Time to go rob some graves.
Is it really robbing a grave if it's your own grave? Oh, well, your grave is open, so
You
yeah,
know
go
what?
grave, go.
The dead
rob
are
graves.
dead.
Dead man's a dead man. That man is dead. I took this shovel and I married it. And I'm allowed to do that because I died. I came back. Rules don't apply to me, understand what I'm saying?
Your French tutor at high school always really liked you because you kept trying year on year. Always come to class with new words to show off. When the spoken exam came, literally there showing me the answers, but I didn't have my glasses on. Oh. It's a story in 3 acts.
That's a bit of a sad story.
I'm glad that your French tutor really liked you. My Italian teacher did not like me at all. And we've gotten into this a little bit, but my Italian teacher in high school had it was very clear that okay, so I was a theater kid and I spent the majority of my classes doing all of my work in like the first 20 minutes and then just dropping off everything and eventually running back and, you know, going back into the theater to rehearse and practice and do whatever. And part of what happened was my Italian teacher did not like my French teacher, or my Italian teacher did not like my theater teacher. And she knew for a fact that that's where I was going, and I was honest about it, right? She would ask, like, hey, why did you skip class today? And I would be like, well, I still came to school. I was just in the other classroom working on, you know, such and such musical or whatever. And that made her understandably very angry. But I never felt bad about it because she was always really mean to me. She was mean to everybody. But she was one of those teachers that, like, very clearly did not enjoy the act of teaching or, like, students existing. So we definitely butted heads a lot. And I remember at the time she liked my pronunciation and disliked everything else about what I did because I just didn't show up for class. And when I did, I didn't do very well because I wanted to leave. That was the only class I think I intentionally flunked in high school, just like out of pure spite. Because I did want to learn Italian, I just didn't want to go to that Italian class, like that room, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I had a similar experience in high school. Not just high school, but my entire, like, time spent in school was... all of my teachers really liked me. And thought I was really, like, you know, I was the spitting image of a straight-A student, except for the fact that I wasn't a straight-A student. You know what I mean?
You were respectful and quiet, but you didn't do the work, because fuck that.
I was respectful and quiet, and I showed, like, a profound grasp of the material. And, like, I was clearly there. I was with it. I knew what I was doing. I just didn't want to do it. Because fuck that.
And that is such like a common thing that repeats in history, you know? I mean, it's a trope at this point, right? It's like the brilliant but lazy.
Mm-hmm.
You got your Peter Parker in Spider-Man 2. And it's true. People with... I would say that... Would you say that you have a more artistic or a more mathematic brain?
That's an interesting question, actually. I think if I had to answer, I would say that I'm more... Like, I guess the best way to put it is I'm an engineer. I'm good at engineering solutions to complex problems. I can't fucking do math, but that's what a calculator's for. And I've always had a much better angle for problem solving than any kind of expression, I guess.
Yeah. So you're still on like that. You're typically on that side of the brain spectrum.
I can't draw to save my life.
Like more logically minded than anything, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I remember. Paper Cody says, "Why do they forbid you from using calculators?" And I say, "Fucking right. Remember you would always have that teacher in school who would be like, hey, you're not gonna have a calculator everywhere you go. You gotta do it. You gotta do it the right way." And I'm like, guess what? Didn't play out that way, did it?
Yeah, and then Cody goes on to say, at the higher levels, they don't let you do them by hand, which is true.
Nobody at NASA is freehanding that shit. You're right.
Dude. Okay, so there are two things about that, right? Like, yeah, nobody at NASA is freehanding that shit because, hey, you know what we don't trust? People to do math. You know what we do trust? Calculators to do math.
We trust computers. We don't trust brains because one of them does it right and one of them does it wrong.
But also, like, even on the smaller level, like, Cody, when was the last time that you had to go into a math examination for one of your finals, right? And you better sure as shit bring that calculator with you, because if you don't, you're gonna get an earful about it. And depending on where you go, you might not be let in.
And they sure as shit won't give you one.
No, you gotta pay for that.
Yeah, they make you buy it.
Stats class. Yeah, stats. Dude, statistics is the worst. I am so sorry that you had to do that. This semester coming up for me is... mythology. It's like ancient Greek mythology, which is cool. It's acting for the camera,
that means
which is
we're ready
cool.
to go.
And then it's also like whatever math course I still have left. And once all of that is done,
I hope.
Then it's French too.
The powder gangers are here to play.
And I'm not looking forward to
Joe Cobb included. They look
I'm not
pretty
looking forward to the latter classes in
I'll
that.
be set up near the
I'll
store.
say that for sure.
Let's hope that the gang doesn't manage to make it that far.
Okay. It's time for Clancy Manfist's first real fight.
Oh yeah, only 2 hours in and we're still in fucking Good Springs.
To be fair, I've been wasting a lot of time.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm mostly saying that for the funsies.
I've been doing a lot of walking around.
These gloves were made for walking, and that's just what they'll do. One of these days, these gloves are gonna walk right over you. Boxing good. Would you get? Oh, you got shot. Okay, I thought you got like jumped over the picket fence and knocked your foot on it or something. So we do have an open grave ready. That's correct. Spanish too. What? How's that Spanish course treating you, Cody? I remember taking Spanish back in junior high and being like,
wait, who am I punching? I'm punching Ringo.
You're gonna punch Ringo? Don't do that. I remember being good at Spanish, but disliking the material. And I remember really liking Italian,
I owe you
but
a huge
disliking
favor for
working on the material.
These are technically Crimson Caravan funds, but I know they'll understand once I explain things.
Yeah, man. Hi in chat says our intelligence is really
I'll
low.
stick around for a
Absolutely.
bit longer, but I'll be gone in a few days. If you ever visit New Vegas, look me up at the Crimson Caravan Camp.
Okay, so Cody in chat is talking about the material in his Spanish course and how that's presented. I won't say it live, just because of course. But what is there like a specific website that they make you go to do it? Because I am taking my class online for French, and they required us to go to a specific website in order to do it. And I remember having so many problems with it the entire way through. And like, Bix, yep, that's the same one. That's the same one. I would send you and send Mixa screen caps of like some of the more worrying things that they were writing, and some of the more worrying like stock images that they were showing us of these people with dead eyes and wolfish grins.
I do remember.
That is my experience with taking college foreign language courses.
Okay, we made it to level 2.
Good.
What stats should we pump here? Unarmed?
Let's see.
Would be a good one.
Unarmed would always be good. Is our repair too low to repair our own stuff?
Probably yes. Oh, I bought another pair of boxing gloves to assimilate into the ones that we have. It might be a good idea to pump repair a bit and dump the rest.
Yeah, I think at least one level so that we can at least do it. Because if we're gonna be rolling with the same, if we're gonna be Dempsey rolling with the same fist weapons the entire time, we probably want to be able to work on it ourselves.
Yeah. Maintain our own boxing gloves. I love that idea.
Yeah.
And we'll kick these up to an even 10.
It's been 2 years since I took Spanish 1, and now I'm going to wing it through Spanish 2. All just regurgitating material. Pretty much, dude. Yeah.
Let's do some intense training.
Apparently, you need 50 repair to make weapon repair kits.
I started the game with a couple of them, so there's that.
Okay.
Okay, what attribute should we train intensely?
I'm waiting for the screen to pop up on my end. Well, we still do have that 9 in strength and a 9 in endurance. Let's get endurance up to 10.
Okay, so here's an interesting thing. Strength affects the damage of all melee attacks, but endurance affects the survival and unarmed skills, which I believe means that it affects the values that they start at. So now that we're post facto, it might be a good idea to pump strength.
Okay, so my question for this is the wording on endurance, right? The survival and endurance skills. Does that mean that it affects not the... To me, that would mean that it affects not the like base damage of your unarmed attacks, but the percentages that are involved with like additional skills and perks from unarmed stuff, right?
I would assume that it affects your like 1 to 100 unarmed skill. You know?
Okay, if that's true, then I say go for it. The thing that fucking sucks for me is the distinction between melee and unarmed, because unarmed is still melee.
Yeah.
Like, for a bunch of people who wrote an RPG,
a lot of this is still from Fallout 3, keep in mind.
I was gonna say, like, that's a... Yeah.
Someone in the chat want to give us some guidance on this one?
In the meantime, scared but you want to graduate. Yeah, I mean, dude, my experience with French and Italian, my experience with Italian was coasting off of what I learned from French. Sorry, fuck me. Was coasting off of what I learned from Spanish, and my experience with French was kind of coasting off of what I did in French. Fuck, Italian.
Yeah, the GURP system. Fun word, that. I do remember that system.
Unarmed and melee are calculated separately. Yes. Yeah.
But the tripping point here is the wording.
Endurance determines a character's environmental resistances, poison, radiation, hit points, and healing rate. Endurance is your health.
Mm-hmm.
Strength is your melee.
We know that. But the way I'm kind of figuring this is like, endurance affects your unarmed skill. Like your base level of endurance will kick unarmed up by that much, but strength is the direct scaling of your melee. Right.
The only thing endurance
level
boosts. Okay. Yeah, because to me, like when I start reading that, I get caught up in the
wording.
Yeah, I get caught up in the wording there. Is like, well, does it affect the percentages of the skills, or does it affect the percentages of your base stats? Because those are two very different things.
If you're looking for damage, go for strength. That's what I'm going to go for. Because it also adds to carry weight.
Mm-hmm.
I punched Ringo in the back a good bit. He's doing okay, though.
The luckiest man in the wasteland. You have any opinions on the Beatles, Vix?
No.
I like that. I like that hard no. Man, I've got some history with the Beatles, but I would say generally I appreciate what they did for music, but I'm not typically a Beatles guy. Around that time, I typically liked a little bit more of like the upstart of punk before it really hit its swing in the 70s. And I would also say that I think between the Beatles and the Stones, I think I was more about the Stones. Like, the Stones are a less interesting band overall, but I think the quality of their, like, music and songwriting was typically a little bit more consistent. The thing about the Beatles that was always cool was that they were so willing to experiment and really change, like, not only their sound, but change, like, the environment of music around them, right? Whereas Stones were kind of just like a not quite hard punk band. They were between rock and punk. And eventually kind of kick-started that movement, at least here in the West. The West. Here in America, the Stones were kind of like the mainstream push for that kind of thing. Whereas the Beatles were more like, you know, especially now we look back on the Beatles as like the embodiment of like the optimism and hope of youth. And that is not something that particularly resonates with me.
Not anymore, no.
I can appreciate it. I can definitely appreciate Beatles music, but I can also safely say that I do not enjoy listening to most of it. Come Together is a difficult song to listen to for a number of reasons. Hey, try and hold E on that prompt over there.
Yeah, I'm doing it.
Isn't that nuts?
I never knew until now.
I never knew that you could do it. Je vais en... Non. Je vais l'école en voiture. Shit. Nope. Was je vais à l'école en voiture. I missed the A with the accent. Damn it. Do you want to know how to say I want a pizza in French?
Sure. I get the feeling you're gonna say it anyway.
Je veux une pizza?
Before you venture deeper into the wasteland, before you may revise your character, I think we're good.
I like our character.
Travel onward.
Je veux un pizza. Nous sommes anglais? We are English, yeah. Je voudrais un pizza. Good, good. I'm not gonna do that. Je veux, that's what I hear. Yeah, so you know Duolingo, those are the only, like, it's very, elementary French that it is going over, at least where I am. And that is, those, like, they give you the multiple options or whatever, like they give you a word bank, and then you put those words in either the correct order, or, you know, you pick them out of a lineup of words to put them up there. So that's what I got. It may well be Je voudrais un pizza. I got Je veux un pizza here.